was dancing when I was 12. I was dancing when I was 12. I was dancing when I was out. I was dancing when I was out. I danced myself right out the womb. I danced myself right out the womb. Is it strange to dance so soon? I danced myself right out the womb. I was dancing when I was 8.
Hello, that's Mark Boland.
I was
You're just in
dancing
time
when
for
I
True
was
Ghost
8.
Stories on W Rock Radio on WLOR.net. You're at the right place at the right time if you want to hear some amazing ghost stories and paranormal experiences. So, grab yourself a drink, tuck yourselves in, and get comfortable. But get ready to face your fears. We are True Ghost Stories, and we're calling out all ghosts. Come out, come out, come out of your homes. Come out from wherever you may roam. Hello, listeners and chatters. Thanks for being here with us tonight. We are True Ghost Stories, and we like to add substance to our show, more questions, answers, stories, and research. And the only way the world is going to know the truth is if we find the truth. But we're not alone, because there's far too many witnesses out there with stories to tell, and it's our job to share them. True Ghost Stories approach is open-minded. We care not only about the living, but for the spiritual world as well. And maybe through our journeys we could figure out why they're here and what they want from us. Or perhaps somehow we can even help a soul cross over. We're True Ghost Stories, and we like to think outside the box. I'm your host, Tom Ryan, and I am here with my fellow purveyor of the paranormal, Mr. Adam Ginsberg.
Purveyors of the paranormal. I really like that. How are you, Tom?
I'm doing good tonight, buddy. How are you?
I am great. We have a really big event coming up this weekend, and we're kind of getting set for that. And honestly, it's one of those things, and we have an incredible lineup tonight of guests. And the first one happens to be my wife, who is my partner in crime in so much. And the event we're going to talk about with her briefly is Immortal Con, and there's a big reason why we're going to talk about that. But I want to introduce her. I know she's on the line. Elsie, you there?
I'm here, guys.
Hi, Elsie.
Hey.
Hello, hello. And by the way, what a serious intro. Like, I could have kept listening longer. That was, like, intense, and that was like, wow. I'm all tucked in. I got my drink. I'm ready to go.
There you go. All right.
Nice.
It's good to have you on, Elsie, and it's good to talk to you. And as Adam was mentioning, for anybody that's listening, Elsie Ginsberg is also known as Elsie Macabre, and she runs one of the biggest film festivals out on Long Island. And Elsie has her hands in a lot of other things. And I want to start off with Immortal Con, which Adam mentioned is coming up this Saturday, Elsie. And I know you have a ghost story to tell us, which we're going to get to. But let's talk about Immortal Con really quickly. Can you tell us what to expect this weekend?
Well, the funny thing is that I have to be honest with you. This is the first time that I am not sweating an event. I am actually cool as a cucumber. I don't know if it's because I have a good team. I don't, or I think because of where I am in my head space and in my life. I'm kind of sort of finding that the chips will fall where they will fall, no matter how hard you try, no matter what you do. It's going to be what it's going to be. So we're looking forward to having Immortal Con happen this Saturday, which is going to be Long Island's official anime fantasy convention. But more importantly, it's a cancer awareness event. It's a convention for a cause. And ultimately, I did not want to create what many would consider a cancer convention, because who wants to go to a cancer convention? Nobody does. I don't.
Right.
So we felt like, well, all right, let's look around and let's see what it is Long Island is missing, and after speaking to several convention enthusiasts, I kept hearing anime, anime, anime. And so we said, all right, well, here's the deal, guys. I don't know much about anime, so as long as you guys are willing to jump on board and help make this happen, I'm here to support you all along the way. And in the interim of it all, let's ensure that because we're going to have a lot of young folks at this event, it's a fantastic opportunity to reach the ears of those young people and basically build that cancer awareness, primarily breast cancer for both men and women, and even more so metastatic, which essentially is stage 4, because it turns out that, the bulk of the people getting this are people very much in like their early 20s and whatnot, and so we just really want to share with them, the information and just make them aware and not feel or not go through life so blind or having this invincible attitude, because cancer it does not discriminate, and that's the reality. That's the bottom line. I'm living proof of it, and so hopefully this event will help others at least be aware, and then ultimately raise some funds that will go into the hands of patients, because that was a really big deal for me.
Sure.
I know when I was, since my whole journey with cancer, I've always looked for those different organizations that actually financially helped patients, and I really found very little of them did. So we're hoping to raise some funds that will then go into the hands of one of the organizers over at the Carol Baldwin Center at Stony Brook University Cancer Center. And the goal is, when there's a patient in front of her who's needing money for vitamins, to pay for a bill, to buy organic food, even if it's $50 a month while she's going or he's going through chemo, that gift card is there for them. So that's all we can do. We cannot, can't change the world. We can't help the world, but we can do at least, help one by one.
Well, no, that's great, and you're such a strong person, and anybody that knows you knows what you've been through and what you continue to go through, and you're always in my thoughts, Elsie, and I love what you're doing, and I'm sure it's going to be an awesome event, because you guys always host top-notch events. If any of our listeners are in the tri-state area and they've never been to one of their events, the Macabre Fair Film Festival or Immortal Con, these guys have done a fantastic job. You guys were involved in Parafest as well, which I enjoyed thoroughly.
New York Horror Show, Haunt Fair, and there's more to come, because you know what?
Yep.
I'm still here. So the fact
yeah,
that
you are.
Come.
Yeah, you are, and you're not going anywhere either. So now, Elsie, listen, our listeners listen to this show because they want to know about ghosts, and they want to know if they're real. And do you believe in ghosts?
It's funny, because when Adam told me about this, I said, well, it's funny because I am Elsie Macabre, and I do a lot of shows that tend to deal with horror and tend to deal with Haunt Fair specifically deals with the paranormal. And I actually find myself very closed to this. I think it's because I do believe that there are ghosts, but I'm afraid of them. And so I do everything to not open the doors and get that scary, visit. And but at the same time, I find myself wondering at times. And so, I dare say that throughout my entire life, and, we're talking now almost 44 years, I can't really say that I've encountered a ghost, but like I said before, I admit that I'm closed to them. However, what I can say is that there's got to be something out there. There's definitely more to what exists in this plane that we live in right now, because I know I, for myself, had my own out-of-body experience, and then Can
you briefly tell us about that?
Yeah, I had I think this was back in, I think it was about 2006. I had just had surgery, and I was in my hospital room, and I had an IV that was really painful, and my mother was in my room, my dad, my stepson, and my husband. The TV was on, so it was a very loud room all around. But I remember telling my mom, Mom, this IV really hurts and I want it out. So we pressed for the nurse, but 2 hours went by and still nothing. I was experiencing a lot of discomfort at that time, but I don't do any kind of drugs. I don't do morphine. I don't do any of that. So no, I was not drugged up because I actually don't do well on any of that stuff. So I was kind of, just dealing with it. And, everybody was talking. The TV was on. Everything was loud. And all of a sudden, I just found that all the volumes in my room were just sucked out. Like, everything just went away. Everything sounded so far, far away. And I found myself all of a sudden just traveling. I was just moving, like floating through a bright, cloudy, if you will, tunnel. But what was amazing about the whole thing is how wonderful it felt. Unfortunately, I've heard so many people say that someone has passed because they've made a decision to let go. They didn't want to do it anymore because it's all about a will to live and blah, blah, blah. But, I got to tell you something. If these people, during their moments of pain, went through that other moments of bliss, which is what I experienced, I can completely understand why they would let it go. They would let go and just continue to travel where I was traveling because it felt safe, it felt beautiful, and the entire time I saw no one, but there was this anticipation of me meeting up with my sister who passed away in 2003. But I found myself traveling a little too long to the point that it kind of, I guess reality set in at that moment, and I found myself becoming very scared to continue to travel down this long passageway and not finding anyone there and not knowing if I'd be able to come back because I realized that I had so much to do. And so at that moment, just as fast as that thought came back, I moved backwards just like the speed of light and came back into my space, if you will, and all the volumes in my room came back to normal. So I didn't say anything. I let it go. But it wasn't until 2 months later when I was speaking to my mother and I decided to tell her about this experience because I thought it was really trippy, but I was kind of like, well, maybe I just fell asleep and I'm tripping out and I don't want to bother her with this. But when I started telling her about it, she started to cry. And I said to her, Mom, don't worry, I'm here. I know you lost one daughter. You're not going to lose me. I'm here. And she goes, no, you don't understand, Elsie. I know exactly when this happened to you. And I said, Ma, how could you know this? If I didn't even tell you this. I'm telling you this now. She goes, Elsie, I was standing next to you. I was looking into your face. And when I looked into your eyes, this was about 8 p.m. that night, you had 2 white light bulbs in your eyes, and at that moment, my heart started racing because I thought you were dying.
Wow.
And she freaked me out at that moment. And my mom is a very religious, and I don't mean religious as in, with crucifixes on the walls and this and that. She's just very spiritual, and she believes, and she's that type of person that when someone in the family is going to pass away, she tends to get the visits first. So, she's very open to it. So she really tripped me out when that happened. So there was that experience. I had a different experience many moons ago. I lived a life where I was atheist for many, many years. Yeah. And then I had a crazy experience that just completely changed what I felt and thought from there forward until this day. I don't question it anymore. So again, are there ghosts out there? I believe there has to be, because all this stuff that I've seen, at least, and have experienced, just leads me to believe that there's another plane out there. We're just not traveling on it right now, or in it.
I like that perspective.
It's really something because obviously I'm married to her, but my wife doesn't come up with fairy tales. So I was there in that room. It was very quiet, very hush. It was a very depressing time. And, just thought she was sleeping type of thing. And nobody, I guess, really noticed. Everybody was tired and just, worn out from everything that was going on. And to hear it later, like the hair on the back of your neck stands up because, this isn't a BSer,
Yeah. No, I know it, and I know Elsie well. So it's like I always said to you, when you know people that have these experiences, it lends a little bit more, weight to the to the tale. So, Elsie, it was great to have you on tonight, and it's great talking to you and to hear you. And you sound like you're really in good spirits, and I hope you're feeling all right.
Well, every day is a challenging day, but you listen. I really believe that a lot of the experiences that I've had in my life, my mom told me many years ago, when I was a young kid, I think I was about maybe 14 years old, and she says to me, you know what, Elsie, God is preparing you for something really big in your life. I don't know what it is, but it's something really big. So, at that age, you're thinking, wow, like I'm going to win the lotto, and he's preparing me so I can handle winning millions of dollars, and I'm going to be like this mogul, and da-da-da-da, and I better get ready to wear my white suit and my diamond, initial on my lapel.
Yeah.
As time continues to pass, I think that I know what it is that I am supposed to be preparing for, or at least be able to handle, and that is, dealing with what I'm dealing with, which is my stage 4 cancer. And a lot of people think, oh God, Elsie, you must be so depressed, and you must be so this and so that. And I know this is going to sound crazy, and at least right now is the case, that I am not depressed. I believe that this is happening to me for a really valid reason, and I'm trying to find the positive answers. I believe there are messengers in our space, in the world that we exist, and it really, truly is our job to pay attention to who those messengers or who they are and what it is they're saying. And in the same breath, I say, I believe I am a messenger too, and it is my job to convey a message to someone or some people. So that's my journey right now. And whether, when we say, do we believe in ghosts, that's all, that really is all relative. When we say ghosts, are we talking about things that we see through? Are we talking about apparitions? Or are we talking about messengers that cross our lives? Are those the ghosts that walk through our, through our world? And again, are we open to hearing and seeing them and hearing whatever the messages are? I don't know. For all I know, I'm a ghost right now, and you don't even know.
Excuse me, gentlemen. We have 2 callers.
Okay. Thank you, Sherry.
You're welcome.
Elsie, thanks so much for coming on and sharing some insight with us. And I urge all of our listeners to check out ImmortalCon this weekend. If you're in the area of Long Island, it's going to be awesome. That's at the Upski Hotel in Hop Hop.
No, this one's at the Clarion. At the Clarion. Yep.
Okay, at the Clarion. Okay.
And for anyone interested, check us out at immortalcon.com. And Elsie will be there as well as myself.
Yep.
And Elsie, you should reach out to my wife. My wife beat stage 4 breast cancer.
Who is that?
That's Larry Overman.
Larry, your voice sounded familiar.
For the listeners, we have Larry Overman on, and I believe we also have John Brightman on. Is that right, John?
Yes, I am here.
Oh,
awesome.
John.
Hey, John.
Hi, John.
Hi, John.
Hi, Elise. How are you?
I'm good, sweetie. I'm good. Wow, that's so funny to hear you on the call. That's awesome. Wait, does this mean I have to go now? I mean, we got a party going on right now.
Yeah,
I think you should stick around.
You can stick around, Elsie. Yeah, no problem, as long as you want to.
All right, let's see what's
That's
going
all right
on.
with Adam.
Maybe
Adam's waiting for some toast and jam, or I don't know.
No,
that's already gone.
So, real quick, Larry, what's going on? How was the premiere? What's the feedback?
Great feedback. Ratings were a nice spike. Very impressive. And I think that the next episode, since we have a mystery host coming in, is going to be even that much better. And I have to agree with something that Elsie said is, you never know who's going to cross your path. And sometimes we're put in positions where that's where we're supposed to be.
Right.
I didn't know you were going to be on the call tonight, but I really think that, my wife, she beat stage 4 breast cancer. And she's 8 years in remission right now. And she does a thing now called Angel Kisses, Stacy's Angel Kisses. And it's on Facebook. And I think she would be a great person to talk to if you were ever up for it.
That is very, very encouraging to hear that. I appreciate that.
Awesome.
Thank you
And
for
dear,
that, Larry.
we will
Thank you
keep
for
you in our
sharing that.
prayers. Absolutely.
John Brybin, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. How are you doing?
I am doing great, my friend. For those who don't know, John heads up New England Paranormal.
Yes. New England Paranormal Research.
Paranormal Research.
There's also another group that is called New England Paranormal, so don't like to get too confused.
Gotcha. Now, we crossed paths a few times, and one of them was related to a film that you were involved in, and I think that you have a book that's tied into this thing as well, and I'm talking about the Bridgewater Triangle, which was one of the films we showed, Elsie remembers, at the Macabre Fair Film Festival. It was a great film. I'm really curious your involvement there. I know you've got a lot of big projects coming, but this is also true ghost stories. And the very first time we met, aside from having a good time at Scarefest, you mentioned to me something about almost like an attack that had happened to you during an investigation. Would you mind sharing that?
Yeah, no, definitely. So when I was telling you about it, we were filming for Ghost Adventures, and we were up at the the Gardner Mansion. It's called the Gardner Victorian Mansion, SKPS Mansion. There's a couple different names for it, but it's in Gardner, Massachusetts, and we were filming up there. And we were in the main room where somebody had spontaneously combusted back in the 50s and burned to death. There is I can't say there's proof of the spontaneous combustion. There's proof of the burning to death in there, and the thing that makes it so much more weirder is the fact that the photos from the police and fire department show the body burned in the mattress, but none of the rest of the mattress or room caught on fire. It was only where the body laid, and you actually see bone and ashes inside where the body was laying, and the shape of a body was burned into the mattress. So we were in that room investigating, and now to just kind of give you an idea, this house has a lot of tragic history in it. A lot of people have died. A few murders have happened in this house. So there's a lot of tragedy that goes along with this house. But we were in there filming for it, and I was in the room with Zach asking, just regular EVP questions, and nothing was happening. No equipment was going off. So I kind of wanted to push the bar a little bit, and I was like, look, I know that you don't like people staying here. You don't like people sitting on the furniture. If you don't come talk to us, I'm going to sleep on this bed, and I'm staying here for the night. Nothing happened. So finally I said, okay, you don't want to listen? That's it. I'm staying here. And I walked around the side of the bed. I sat down on the bed, and no sooner did I sit down, it felt like a baseball bat hit me in my ribs. I lost all breath, couldn't breathe, and I literally fell to my knees trying to gasp for air. I mean, it's something that I've never felt before. So as I did that, he came over, and he's like, trying to help me up. He's like, you're all right. And I finally caught my breath, and I'm like, yeah, but my ribs are hurting. I don't know what happened. They feel like they're on fire. It felt like something hit me. So he says, let me see. We lift up my shirt, and sure enough, on the side of the ribs, there's 3 marks on my ribs. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, well, what was it, just scratches? And it was scratches, but it's the coincidence that it happened in, because when he took pictures and we looked at them, some people say it looked like a W. A few other people said it looked like a Roman numeral 4. The coincidence between the two, I'll start with the W. First, if it is a W, the guy that burnt in the house, his name was William. So was he kind of responding and said, hey, leave me alone, this is who I am, just stop? Or was the other coincidence was the fact that the one that looked like a Roman numeral 4, nobody on the casting crew, nobody knew this. I'd actually pull my license out and show them. I'm the 4th in my family. So I have, the Roman numeral 4 on my driver's license because of my name. So everybody was kind of blown away at that. Was he trying to say, hey, I know who you are, leave me the F alone, We don't know. So he started asking more questions, and across a piece of equipment that, I'll be honest, I don't believe in it. I didn't till this one point. It's called an ovulus, and it's a pre-programmed device that has, a database in it for the spirits to manipulate the words that are in there supposedly and use them to communicate with you. Well, this thing's only meant to speak 1 or 2 words at a time. It's not meant to speak sentences. Well, it literally spoke a sentence. When he asked that question, why did you do this to my friend? It came across and it said squeeze. It paused for a second, then it finished in a sentence and goes squeeze, pause, and then it goes every throat in this house. So
Well,
it was kind of.
Did you guys catch that on? Did you guys get to record that, John?
Oh yes. I have the recording of it. They showed the recording on the show. They showed all of it on the show.
Okay.
And it's actually been on 3 different shows now because it happened to me personally. So because I was also using my own handheld recorder when we were filming, I kept the footage and I was able to use it for other smaller shows like A Haunting, My Ghost Story, and Paranormal Witness.
Okay.
Yep.
Something else that we wanted to, we brought you on the show too, John. We'd like to discuss with you is the paranormal community recently experienced some real shocking news and a real tragedy. The murder-suicide of Mark and Debbie Constantino. And
Yes.
I understand that you were friends of theirs, and maybe without focusing too much on the tragedy that was the end of their lives, maybe you could tell us a little bit about what their contribution to the paranormal community was, and what your relationship was with them.
Well, I'd be glad to. Well, first, obviously, it's a sad story what happened. Mark and Debbie were good friends of mine. I met them probably about 5 or 6 years ago. We did our first convention together. I had just probably started maybe doing the convention circuit at this time, and they came over and did an interview with me because I was working for also a local paranormal show that's out of Massachusetts here, and I had them come over and do the interview. We hit it off. We became great friends. We started talking, and next thing you know, later on that night, they're hanging out in my hotel room having drinks. As Adam knows, I make a very good drink. And,
yes, you do.
and we were all hanging around talking about paranormal things, and it was just very nice to meet some people that were down to earth and very smart and intelligent when it came to different parts of the paranormal. They were very well known for being EVP specialists, and for some people that might not know, that's electronic voice phenomena. They weren't into all the new gadgets. They had a couple of very old digital recorders, some of the first ones that came out, and they really stuck with that. And for some reason, I don't know why, but they always got great Class A EVPs. I don't know if it was luck of where they were standing or if it was just, because of who they are. Maybe they had that spiritual side to them that they were able to communicate. I'm not sure, but they always got great evidence. And like I said, they were always great people to me. I've unfortunately, this field is kind of in an uproar right now with picking sides and this and that. And
I kind of noticed that myself. Yeah, I guess there's a lot of competition within the Paranormal Investigation Society, where I guess I didn't realize the depth of the competition that was going on and what people kind of considered to be, false investigators or others. They kind of have these feelings towards each other. Can you tell us about that?
I mean, the field it's very, very tough. The field is very cutthroat, very attack one another. If somebody gets a little farther ahead than another, the people are right there to jump on the bandwagon, and either you have your loyal friends and fans and people that like you, or you don't. There's not really an in between, unfortunately. And like I said, a lot of people on this whole thing were picking sides, and I think people need to realize that with this whole situation, it's not a matter of picking sides, who was right, who was wrong, who was the one that started it or didn't start it. It's a matter of we lost two people that were friends to a lot of people who lost, family that lost two members of their family.
Sure.
That's the most important thing that people have to think about. It's not who did what, who was right, who was wrong. I mean, it's crazy. There's people out there saying, "Oh, there must have been demons attached to somebody," or
Right.
It's just crazy the stuff that I've been seeing, and I've been kind of quiet about it because I don't want people picking sides. The one thing I have to say is there is one gentleman out there that's just being totally disrespectful to the family, to the parties that have passed away. I mean, he's thinking that he's going to go out there and make a name for himself and try and communicate with Mark and Debbie through EVP sessions, and that's just totally uncalled for. Let the situation calm down, let the situation go away a little bit before you try and do something stupid like that.
Right. For those who are listening and aren't aware of what we're talking about a very tragic incident that happened, I believe it was this past Tuesday, a week ago in Nevada, and it was I think there was a standoff at some point. It was a very horrible murder-suicide situation that happened, and these two people were I read articles that called them rock stars and so on and so forth in the community. Obviously, they were high profile, and as we try with this show to do our best to bring light to things and really get to the truth, you're saying that they were hitting home runs with some really solid EVPs. So that's a loss. I think that's a tremendous loss for what everybody's trying to do.
It is. I mean, no matter, like I said, no matter if you're a family member, if you're a friend of one side or the other, it's a tragic loss to anybody in the field because they were very well liked, very well respected. For the most part, everybody's going to, like I said, everybody's going to have haters and people that don't agree with you. But for the most part, they were very well liked and very well respected. And, it is a tragic loss for the whole community of what happened.
Yeah. Right. Larry, heading up True Ghost Stories like you are, and even Sherry, I know you're in the background. Do you guys have any thoughts on what happened here?
I'll let Larry go first.
I think it's very sad what happened. I've been reading the article on Washington Post and hearing all these great comments about both sides of them. Being the kind of person that I am, I almost wonder if something else wasn't attached, because it doesn't sound like, I have a hard time believing that somebody in clear mind is going to go do something like this. It just, to me, sounds off the wall. They had 20 plus years together of a lot of, like one statement says, it's not very often when two couples can get together and just be totally geeked out on the paranormal. And that is a very rare thing. And, it just sounds really bizarre to me. It's really tragic and very sad.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing why I've been keeping quiet a lot about the situation. Again, I'm not saying I was best friends with them, that I talked to them every day and that. No, I would talk to them at least once or twice a month, both sides. They had a lot of background that people don't know. They've had a lot of problems throughout the years that a lot of people don't know about. A lot of the inside of the paranormal, the bigger names, have seen it at conventions. Things have gone on. Obviously, even one of the daughters made a post, you don't know my family, you don't know what's gone on, what has happened, what hasn't happened.
And we can't speculate about that. I mean, especially, when it comes to families, right? You can never speculate what's happening behind closed doors.
And I've seen it firsthand with myself with them, that there has been, slight altercations at conventions where, arguments. But everybody has arguments, and that's what I'm trying to explain to somebody else that was asking me this today. You can't just go by somebody having an argument saying, oh, well, they're the one that caused the problems. They're the one that always started it. You can't go by that. You got to look at the
No, you
whole
can't.
big picture and see what the whole malfunction was, you know, because every average day people, whether it's you guys or me and my girlfriend, whatever, everybody has normal fights throughout their relationship.
Yeah,
It's going to happen, you know. So you can't just pick sides because of that. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of people are doing.
Yeah, and especially without knowing knowing the information. I mean, we know what the final result was, and we know, you know, the details of that. But as far as what led up to that point, it's all speculation, and it's something that I mean, I'd rather not even think about, you know, what led up to it, because we don't have that kind of information, so we could come up with a million scenarios as to what led to it. But I mean, obviously,
I wouldn't be surprised if the police don't even know what really truly led up to the situation.
Sure.
You know, they have their idea, but I bet you they don't even know, because nobody would know what led it up to it except for the two that were fully involved.
Right.
You know,
Right. Yeah,
I bet you their
absolutely.
daughters don't even fully know what led up to it, what was going through each one of their minds that day. You know.
Yeah.
You know, this is an off-the-wall question, but you know, you guys have been involved in this field a lot longer than I have, admittedly. I'm really curious. Obviously, they were very high profile, and the paranormal society / industry is getting bigger and bigger. I'm really curious if there was anything even similar in some way to a situation with investigators or an investigator in the past. And that might fall in line with, like, you know, what Larry was mentioning as a theory, where potentially somebody, you know, hooked up with the wrong type of energy. And while paranormal may not have been as prolific as it is today, they were caught up in something. You know, that may be something I may want to take a look into myself.
You know, I don't know. I mean, a lot of people, to my knowledge, I've never heard of anybody high profile having that happen, but I can say this. I mean, let's take, for instance, a gentleman last year or the year before. He's gone through a lot. His name is Brian Hanois. He went through a lot of tragedy. You know, he got kicked off Ghost Hunters. He had some family issues. He's done some wrong things. Well, he threatened to commit suicide last year. I mean, it was all either last year or the year before. It was all over Facebook. The cops were sent out looking for him. They finally found him in an abandoned warehouse with a rope, and it looked like he was going to do it. You know, some people back then were speculating, oh, because he was a paranormal investigator, did he have some kind of a spirit attached to him, or, you know, was it truly just depression? You know, honestly, none of us will ever know the truth. Only he will. I can honestly say, in my 10-plus years of doing this, and with some of the people that I've worked with, it's very far and few in between that some kind of a possession or some kind of a spirit attachment would come into you or actually attach to you to make you do something like that. I'm very good friends with 3 of the top demonologists in the country, John Zappis, Keith and Carl Johnson. I've asked them, together and separately, if you were to put all 3 of all your time together, which they've all been doing this 30-plus years, so you're talking almost 100 years probably between the 3 of them, how many times have you ever come across a demon or an evil spirit that's attached themselves to somebody to where you couldn't handle it, or you've had to, you know, call in an exorcism, something like that? And between the 3 of them, the number was less than 10. I don't remember the exact number anymore, but it was less than 10. And that's over 100 years. So I kind of find it hard to believe that there could have been something like that with either one of those situations, with either Brian one or the Constantinos one. I think there was just, with both of them, so much depression, so much down, you know, that they were so upset that it led to the worst thing possible that it could have in both scenarios.
Right.
Luckily, one didn't get that far. Unfortunately, one did.
Right.
But I think, honestly, I think it was just more of the depression and gutting the person down than anything.
Right. unrelated to the paranormal. Unfortunately, a very tragic incident, but I guess we felt like we needed to discuss it a little bit because they were so heavily involved in the paranormal community and so important to a lot of people. And like Adam referred to them as rock stars, as they were referred to in the article. Was that the Washington Post article, Adam?
Yes, it was.
Yeah,
the one I shared.
Yeah. So what I would like to discuss a little bit with Larry is what can we expect from episode 2 of True Ghost Stories, Larry? What's in store for us?
Episode 2, Fox Lake. There was recently a murder up there. I believe a police officer was shot here about a month ago. And we debated on whether or not to even air this particular episode.
Okay.
Shadow Hunters is the investigative team.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be another good one. The one out of the UK at the Dome was a great episode. They did a phenomenal job, very professional.
Mm-hmm.
And following up after that, oh, what the hell, we're going to leak it anyway. So the third episode is going to be from Kansas City.
Nice.
And it's going to be, School of Spirits or School Spirits, Sherry? It's a real investigation, but the guys, sometimes when you're out doing an investigation, you can have a good time too. So it's all about real experiences and
That's right. It's a good one. I watched it today. It's really amazing. I can't wait till it comes out.
Now, who's guest hosting next week?
I can't tell you that.
Well, I can tell you this. I know it ain't me.
And here's what I
Yeah,
will
right.
tell you. So, in fact, I just had to reject the call because we're on this call. Due to some conversations that have taken place, this particular individual was pretty much talked into it, originally against their will, but succumbed because of the very sweet and inspirational and persuasive Sherry. They've decided to do that.
Is that you, Elsie? Are you guest hosting?
I'm just listening and drinking and tucked in.
What are you drinking?
It isn't my good stuff that I make you guys, that's for sure.
Do you make Portuguese wine, John?
Oh, it's close to that, but it's not quite as good as that, though.
Well, I wanted to say hi because I'm from where you're from. And I actually
really?
Yes, I just moved from there just like about 3 months ago from New Bedford, actually.
Well, are you kidding me?
No, I've lived there for a long time. I was born in Fall River.
Oh, wow. So you know all about the Bridgewater Triangle.
I know it all. I've been to the place you were talking about, the fire, everything. I got touched in that house.
Really?
For real. I mean, literally, my sweater was literally pulled off of me. And when I first went into that room,
guy you had with you does not count.
I had nobody with me other than a camera person.
This is true.
So that room that you were talking about, the man caught on fire in the bed.
Yes.
When I first started going towards that room, I felt that fire. I couldn't even go into that room. I literally felt it.
Other people have said that, and I've heard other people say that during events that we've done there, and then just randomly talking at conventions, people have said, "Oh, I've been to that house, and when I walked towards the room, you felt the heat coming out like there was almost a fire."
Check this
and
out.
I'm like blown away when they say that.
Okay, last year we had 90-some inches of snow.
Yeah.
Okay, well we went in the middle of the winter. It was 30 degrees outside.
There's no heat in that house.
There's no heat in that house whatsoever. Well, they had some like plug-in heaters, but they didn't have any even plugged in. It was weird. So that we went into that room, and there was one of those stand-up heaters in there, and I was like, well, finally I didn't, but I went the other way around to the other entryway and ended up getting into the room because the first way I couldn't get into because it was too hot. But I went around the other way and got into the other way, and then I'm standing near this bed, and then there's this heater there because the heat wasn't. When you went through the second way, I didn't feel the heat. When you go in the other way, you know what I'm talking about because you've been there.
Yep.
You feel the heat in that doorway. Well, the second doorway, I was able to walk in through the halls and go in through that doorway. And then I walk over near the bed. I still don't feel anything. And then that little heater's sitting there near that bed, near the other side of the bed. and it was warm as heck over there. I was dying. I was dying of heat exhaustion. And I'm like, gosh, can somebody turn this heater down? And then the caretaker of the house said, the heater's not even on. So I touched it, and no, it was really cold. It wasn't even on, but I felt that heat. It was so hot. I had to get out of the room again. The second time I couldn't even. And then after that, I never went back in that room because I felt it so much. Maybe some people are just sensitive to that. You know what I'm saying?
It can also be menopause.
No, I went through that 20 years ago, my friend. No, I had spontaneous menopause. I had cancer at a young age, so it wasn't that for sure.
Hot flashes.
But there was other things that happened in that house. It was pretty awesome. It's a beautiful house too, wasn't it?
It was kind of weird. Back in this past November, right before they sold it, Edwin had called me, told me he was putting it on the market for sale, and he told me if I wanted to have the house for my group or if I needed to do anything, because he knows I do photo shoots and things like that. He's like, you know, the place is yours. You just tell me the weekend, you can have it.
Wow.
So I called him and said, look, I definitely want it. I want to do a horror photo shoot there. Can I have it this day, this weekend? And I gave him the dates. He's like, sure. So we got there. We started setting up, and we had it for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we got there Friday night, started setting up where we were going to shoot on Saturday and Sunday. And one of the model's moms, you know, the model was like 23, 24, but one of the model's moms decided to come with her because she heard what house it was in, and they always wanted to see it. So she comes, and I guess she's a photographer also. So she wanted to do some shoots just of the house itself, inside and outside. So I said, that's fine. So she's walking around as we're setting up, and she's shooting photos here and there. She went down into the basement, and the room that the wife supposedly dug up bones in was one of the rooms she started to shoot in. And as she turned to shoot in that room, her camera wouldn't work. So she found it weird. She stepped out, checked the camera. It worked fine. She turned back into that room, started to shoot. It wouldn't shoot. They kept saying that it wasn't doing something. I forgot what she explained. So it was very weird. We blew a couple of fuses because we were running those portable heaters to try and keep the girls warm.
Right.
So finally, we had to keep running downstairs to do the fuses. I went down one time, and as I walked past that one room in the basement, it looked like somebody was standing there staring at me. But again, I'm used to the house, so I didn't think much of it.
Right. I know what room you're talking about, too, actually.
Right at the bottom of the stairs, right on the right-hand side.
Right.
Yep.
Did you go in?
What's that?
Did you go in?
Well, the next day I did, not at that time.
Okay.
Because I was in such a rush. So the next day we're getting set up again, turning all the heaters back on to keep the house warm. And sure enough, the foul blows again. So we go down, and I felt it again. Well, the woman came with me this time, and she's like, this is the room I was having problems shooting in. So we both walked into the room, and it felt like we were being watched. It really did. There was nothing there, but you just had this feeling like you were being watched. She's trying to click photos that wouldn't let her again. As soon as she steps out of that room, her camera worked fine. We couldn't figure it out. So later on that night, we're doing a photo shoot in the red room, which is actually one of the rooms where the prostitutes were murdered.
Right.
And we're doing a photo shoot, and what I do for horror photo shoots is I take a lot of bad situations, like, for instance, the murder of the prostitute in the house, and I recreate those and bring them to life in photos. So we had a girl dressed up like what a prostitute would wear. We had me dressed up as like a John. I had on a pinstripe suit with the top hat and the cane. Cool. And we reenacted everything, bringing me in the doorway with her leading me in and all that. This girl totally did a 360 flip, and you could see her eyes changing by the end of the shoot. Like, she was a total different person, the way she talked, the way she acted. It actually freaked me out to the point that I had to push her aside and,
John, you
and
got
then
all this on
grab her
video?
and bring her out of the room.
You have all this on video, John?
What's that?
You have all this on video?
No, because we weren't doing video. It was just a photo shoot.
Oh.
But even in the
Do you have
even in
photos?
the photos, you can see her like acting different in the photos. This is a girl that has a very respectable job. She's actually a regional manager for Enterprise Rent-A-Car.
Okay.
You know, she's very professional. She's a great girl. She's actually afraid. When we do our photo shoots, we use all real weapons and stuff like that. So if it's an incident where somebody was stabbed, you're getting a real knife put against you. If it was an axe, it's a real axe in the scene. So like one of the things was the prostitute's neck had been slit open with a knife. Well, I was literally over the top of her with a real butcher knife across her throat, and what looks like fake blood and scar, like an incision across her throat because of the way we did the special effects makeup.
Right.
This girl was petrified of knives. When I first put the knife to her, you can see in the photo, she was grabbing my hand and she was like in shock about it. By the time we were done with the shoot, 15, 20 minutes later, she was grabbing it, pulling it closer to her throat, and she had this evil look on her face. And she was not playing around.
Did she get possessed, you think?
I don't know. I don't think it was that. I think just if there was a spirit there of that woman that did get killed, she was kind of there, like maybe antagonizing her, bringing it on more. I don't know. But I literally had to just finally get her out of the room, just because I was worried for her because she was acting so different. You know.
Did she say anything about? Did she say anything about the experience afterwards?
Right. I asked her. I said, you know, when we went downstairs, she was very cold. Obviously, I mean, they're wearing hardly anything during the photo shoots, and of course the house didn't have heat, so she threw on her robe, and we got her out to my car because my car has heated seats. Plus, it was warm then in the car. So we're sitting in the car. There's about four of us warming up, talking, and I was like, "Did you realize what you're doing?" And she's like, "No. What do you mean? What was wrong? What was I doing?" And I'm like, "You don't realize that you were pulling the knife down onto your neck tougher, like tighter, and if you would have moved an inch, it would have slit you." And she's like, "No." She's like, "The last I remember is I was like kind of pushing you away because I was scared of the knife." And that's what she remembers.
Unbelievable.
So she's seen the pictures afterwards?
I showed her the pictures about a week later when we got them finally edited and all that. And
she didn't remember them?
She didn't remember it, and she even said in the last 2 or 3 photos, because I showed her every one, even the ones that weren't edited, I showed her. And you can see the difference in the look of her face, the look of her eyes, the way she was clenching her teeth, things like that.
I'd like to see those.
Wow.
Yeah, where can we see those, John?
Well, the unedited ones I'd have to send to you privately. The edited ones are on our website that you can check out.
What's your website? I'm sorry, gentlemen.
Jump in there, Sherry. Don't worry about it.
The listeners are asking the same questions, too. So
that's right.
What's the website?
No, it's actually called MrDphotography.com.
Mr. D?
Yes, just the letter D. I'm not sure actually if it's MrD.com or MrDphotography.com. I'll have to double check that and then post it to you guys after so you can repost it. But that is my main photographer, Cress Winchester, out of New York. He does 90% of my photography for me. So we do everything under his website. That way it's easier.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So we're not trying to run 2 or 3 websites to sell these photos and things like that. A lot of the photos don't get posted to his website only because we actually sell them at private gallery shows and things like that. And private collectors actually buy the photos from us. Like right now we're doing one of the 7 Deadly Sins. And they will never get posted, nothing. They will never get sold. One collector bought the whole set of 7. So we have to actually, do all 7 shoots, and then we have to blow them up to the sizes that he wants. They're all canvas wrapped that are really, nicely done. It's not like just an 8x10 photo.
Right. We're going to have to start winding down. John, I know you have a book coming, and you're doing some film work. If you don't mind dropping the name of that stuff and maybe a website or social media where people can get a hold of you?
Absolutely. I have the first book out. It's called Dark Gift. Me and T.L. Jones wrote it. It's basically a base on the cult murders that happened in the Freetown State Forest. So our second book that I'm working on is called Dark House, and it's basically about the house that I live in now, with all the paranormal stuff that's going on, from my girlfriend getting dragged out of bed to my stepdaughter having violent, vivid dreams of being reincarnated and burned to death.
Wow.
So that's right now in the process. Hopefully it'll be out after January 1st. I'm also shooting one of two movies that starts next week. It's called The Mask, and it's based about me being a killer that wears this mask that does mind control, and I actually have people that go out for me that do killings also. So I start filming that next week, and then I have another one that'll be filming in January. There's tentatively no working name for it yet. I'm waiting to find out what the working name, but it's going to be a paranormal movie, and it's based out of Maine with a bed and breakfast that was bought by a new couple. They go in, don't realize that it's haunted and that there's paranormal activity. Wife ends up going to the insane asylum. Husband ends up dying. They call in a paranormal group to figure out what's going on.
And if somebody's listening and they want to get a hold of you for, investigations up by you, or to, find out more about what you're doing in these projects, where can we send them?
You can go to Facebook. Just go under John Brightman. That way you can find me. Also, if you're looking to, follow what's online, events I'll be, places like that, not only Facebook, you can go to the website for my group, which is neparanormalresearch.com. Those are the best ways to follow what's going on. I don't do Twitter. I don't do Instagram, all that stuff.
Right. Thank you so much, John.
Yeah, John, thanks for coming on tonight and sharing your insight, especially with the Constantinos as well.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think we have one more caller trying to come in, if you want to stay on, John, regarding this.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, caller.
Hi, this is Leanna from Spirit Realm Investigative Project. I just saw that you guys were on, and I thought I'd call in. Unfortunately, I didn't get to hear anything prior. So I just wanted to add what I know. I knew them both, and I also hung out with them during events. Unfortunately, most of us that did knew the situation between the two of them. It could be volatile, not to the point of wanting to kill each other, although one of their neighbors said they heard it a lot, them screaming when they would argue. But Debbie was a very, very verbally abusive to Mark in front of people. We used to call them the Bickersons because they would fight so much. It just seemed that they were never happy with each other, and she was always upset with him. And I have been talking to his sister, Sandra, who is very upset because even though it wasn't right what Mark did, people are coming out in droves, hating her and they're just putting her down because of what her brother did, which is really sad because this woman is in grief. She's grief-stricken about what had happened. And Mark and Debbie was not a good person to be around as far as the lifestyle went. She was really good in public. She's a nice person in public, but behind the doors, it wasn't like that. And I think a lot of people need to realize, yes, it wasn't something that Mark should have done, but when you're pushed to the point of years of abuse and you just take it, someday you explode, especially the fact everyone's like, well, why was he upset about them getting divorced? Well, she was sleeping with a guy who lived down the street, and he knew it. I mean, if you thought you know that your wife's down the street with another man, I think that would play a little havoc on your brain. Also, I want to put in 2 cents about the kidnapping that supposedly happened 2 weeks ago. We don't have any proof that she really got her nose busted up or had strangulation marks, or there's no hospital report that dictates that. From what I've been told with the family, that she basically set him up and her daughter. They had a volatile relationship with one of her daughters.
Yeah, I just want to interject and at this point, Leanne, and say, I mean, I don't want to speculate on hearsay, and especially considering the fact that, the tragedy wound up with 2 lost lives. So I do appreciate your insight on it, but at the same time, there's really nothing there besides hearsay on it. I don't know if I really want to delve too deeply into that, just because of exactly where it wound up. But is there anything that you could share with us as far as their contributions to the paranormal community, and I mean, what they meant to that, or what they meant to you as far as that went?
I just want to explain to you that it's sad they're both gone. I just want people to realize there's two sides to every story, and we should be in mourning for both of them. Not the fact that Mark took their lives,
Agreed.
but for both
Agreed.
of them, because he's gone too.
Agreed.
Right.
You know,
Agreed.
that's
And
what
whatever brought him to the point of what he did and what happened is definitely something that a lot of us are just not privy to, that insight.
Right.
But we do know that whatever it was tragic enough that it ended up the way that it did. And that's
and
it is very
out.
sad, right?
All the truth will come out. I mean, they'll do a full investigation and go through the past and everything, and it'll all come out. It's just that right now, it's tearing the paranormal community apart. People are pitting themselves against each other. There's hate going on in all the posts in Facebook against family members.
Wow.
And I want people just to realize if that was you, and you have all the paranormal people coming after you when you lost somebody, that it's just so sad. Because yes, they did contribute a lot. I know right now there's another ex-ghost hunter that's saying they weren't worth anything, Brian Harnoy, or however you say his last name. No, they were special. They were the best. I mean, they could pick an EVP out like nobody. And I think they did bring a lot to the table. And it's nice that Zach from Ghost Adventures has helped them and promote them, and they do a lot of good for the paranormal community. Oh, there's no doubt about that. No doubt about that. It's just a shame the personal aspect had to come, and now they're gone. But, you know, the reason I called in, though, I just want people to kind of step back and not be so judgmental and wait till the truth comes out and just at least say, hey, these were two great people in the paranormal community. Let's respect the families. Let's respect what's, you know, the hate and everything. Let's put that aside and think about what they stood for, and not conjure up hate between each other, because right now it's a mess.
Right. I mean, I would hope with the community and the industry kind of really exploding at this point, lightning speed. I mean, True Ghost Stories getting involved in we got Larry on the line, and obviously Sherry's here. It's huge what's happening, and this is an opportunity, I think, where the community should try to come together. And I know John, he's here. He mentioned earlier how cutthroat things are. I think times of tragedy in history are when people come together, and that would be what I would put out here. Just what you're saying. There's actually three sides to every story, as we all know, which is yours, hers, and the truth type of thing. At least in a divorce. So with that being said, this is an opportunity for us all to look at the positives of what they brought to the community. Obviously, there's probably somebody out there that's talented, and maybe a door is open for now that team or that person to come to the forefront with talent, with EVPs and so on and so forth. But more than ever, this is a moment of hurt for us all who are part of this, and it's also a moment where the national spotlight is on the paranormal community. I mean, this was in the Washington Post. As a community as a whole, I think we need to look at ourselves and try to show our best faces and our best sides in these moments, as opposed to, lowest common denominator, pointing fingers and all of that kind of stuff. I think there's no time or place for that in a tragedy like this.
Well said.
Well, unfortunately, I agree with you 100%. But for the people that are outside of the community, just Joe Blow off the street, for some reason, this is my prediction, is they're going to start bringing in, these people deal with the negativity and the devil, and this is what drove them to it, and blah, blah, blah. Yes, that stuff does happen. There are attachments. There is negativity out there. But in this case, that is, I don't feel that holds true, but people are going to tag that and try to, put the two together, unfortunately.
Oh, sure. They're going to try to exploit the situation to.
They are, and they're
going to
make us all look bad. Exactly. Right. Yes, I totally agree. And now with everything unraveling, with we got Team Mark and we got Team Debbie, and people are fighting against each other because of that. And that's exactly what's happening here. And nobody's looking at the fact that we just lost two great people. But yes, right. I totally agree. It's going to put a bad light on the paranormal, in essence. I totally agree with that.
Right.
Leanne, where are you part of an investigative team?
Yeah, I'm on to the True Ghost Stories. I'm part of the True Ghost.
And what's your team?
Spirit Realm Investigative Project, SRIP.
Oh, okay. Very good.
I talked to you guys about 2 months ago. I was a guest on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, it's just, and the reason I'm speaking out is there's a couple other folks. There's Patrick Burns and Chris Fleming that knew them really well, and then they feel the same way, and they've been being bombarded if they bring up, think about what the family's going to on both sides, and people just don't want to accept that. They want to just say, well, we hate him because of what he did, but nobody knows all the background on it. And they have to look at the fact they just lost somebody, regardless of how it happened.
Sure.
And that's what everyone's losing sight of. And I think, it's some of his really close friends are trying to stick up and say, hey, this isn't the picture. This wasn't exactly how you thought it could have, this putting somebody on a pedestal, basically. And I know you don't want to get into the ifs, ands, or whats, but they're just trying to say, hey, look, there was some other stuff going on here, too, that you guys don't know about. And you take a big risk doing that and standing up for somebody, but they can't stand up for themselves anymore, so somebody has to.
Right.
The same with Mark's sister right now. She's trying to stand up for her brother on a lot of aspects, and her niece, both her nieces. So I just ask people to think about if you were in that position and if you were just bombarded with hate, just like what happened with Robin Williams when he died. People were bombarding his daughter on Twitter and saying all these nasty things, and I just don't understand why it has to be that ugly and so mean. So I would just ask people to just take a step back. Everybody's upset. Everybody's in shock. I mean, when I found out, I had been off my cell phone for 2 hours, and I pull it up in his post after post after post, and I read Brian Cano's post from a haunted collector, and I just started bawling because I'm like, are you kidding me? I knew I've been, things that were happening the week before when she filed divorce and everything, but that was the last thing I ever thought would happen. And I think all of us are in shock, and you're right. In times like this, people want to point fingers, and that's exactly what's going on right now. So that's just my 2 cents on it all. I thought, sorry I went off like that, but
no, we appreciate you calling in and giving us your insight on it, and again, it's something that it's so tragic that I don't know. Speculating on sometimes the cause of these things is a waste of time because in the end, it doesn't change the end result.
Well, that's true. It's just that if you already know verbatim that things happen, it's a little different.
I understand. No, I understand. Yeah. It's hard to see or hear what you are hearing and seeing from the news, and perhaps not. They don't know the whole story. John, I heard you playing the bongos before. Did you want to say something?
No. That was actually my dog playing around in the house.
Oh, nice. Okay, really quickly, I want to jump back to Larry because, Larry, I want you to tell us and our listeners how they can watch Episode 2 of True Ghost Stories this Thursday.
And is Episode 1 still available in some way?
Larry?
Did we lose him?
Of course. Episode 1 is under membership only. Sorry about that. I hit mute.
Okay.
And so being a member of Tesla Wolf Media gets you have the archive available for 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
So as each episode comes out, and once the 5th episode comes out, the first episode will drop off.
Okay.
But what we're doing is Thursday night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, when we make the show go active, the very first night until I get up in the morning, it's also available on the free stream side.
Okay.
So for 12 hours or whatever it is, it's available on the free side. And then after that, it's on the subscription side.
Okay, Larry, could you do us a favor? Could you post those links on the True Ghost Stories page on Facebook?
Oh, I absolutely will. And also
Okay.
on the True Ghost Stories page, I believe you can click on that new button that Facebook has decided that they're going to do, the action button.
Call to action, yeah. Call to action.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Excellent.
The call to action button.
Excellent. And now I'd like to bounce back over to Elsie. And are you still there, Elsie? Are you still awake?
I'm still tucked in.
I knew it. I knew it. Elsie, let everybody know how to find ImmortalCon and how to get tickets and where it's going to be and the time and everything. And just give us another plug, please.
ImmortalCon.com, happening over at the Clarion Hotel in Ronkonkoma, New York, from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Be there, or I'm going to get you.
Take care, Elsie.
Excellent. Excellent. And Leanne, why don't you, since you called in, why don't you give us some info on how we could keep up with your paranormal investigations, and also, do you know when your episode is airing on True Ghost Stories?
I do not know.
Okay.
But I am advertising it on my page, so you can enjoy all the other teams. Right now, we just have our Facebook page. Go to Spirit Realm Investigative Project, or you could go to YouTube and watch our evidence and some of our EVPs at YouTube/user/SRIP3. That's SRIP3 for 3 girls. And follow what we do. We've been on a couple other shows previously, so we've got that up on our page also. And we're really proud to be part of the True Ghost Stories team. And we hope that other people check it out, because I think you'd be really surprised, especially seeing other teams from around the world. So you kind of get a different styles in investigating instead of just watching one team all the time on one show.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for calling in and sharing your insight, and thanks to John, and thanks to Larry and to Elsie for coming on and sharing some stories with us. And
This was a powerhouse program, guys.
yeah, it was a lot
Thank
of fun,
you so
right?
much.
Yeah, you guys filled it up, and thank you very much. We appreciate you guys all coming on. And then we're going to hang up on everybody and talk bad about you.
Okay, bye.
Have a great night,
we appreciate
everybody.
all the hard work you guys are doing. Great job.
Thank you,
Thank
John.
Hey, take care.
Thank you for the
having me.
opportunity.
Good
You're
night.
very welcome, John.
Bye.
So
So here we
Adman.
are.
Here we are again.
Here we are again, and we're unloading from really a tremendous show. I put a post up today after we were talking about, potentially covering the tragedy that had just recently happened. And I know when we first spoke about it, and, we've been talking about moving to, paranormal news and so on and so forth with the program. And I just felt a confidence, and this was something that really needed to be touched on tonight. And
Yeah.
I know, Sherry, you were tracking just the one post that was put into one of the pages for True Ghost Stories, and the receptivity and the view count on that one post alone, and I had posted it in a couple of places, went through the roof.
Oh, unbelievable.
So I hope those that are, staying and listening, obviously we went over time tonight. We have extra time, and we decided to use it. It was a very important program this week. Not that some of them aren't or anything like that, but, obviously there is a real, a major dent in the armor of the paranormal, industry happened this week. And it just was something that we had to take the time to cover, and I really
At least
appreciate
acknowledge it.
the calls.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it was, John. It was interesting what he had to say, and I know I knew where Leanne was coming, and I kind of seen that already throughout the community on Facebook. Some discussion already, and it's to be expected. I mean, it's it could get ugly, but it's to be expected that people will hurt from what happened and choose to point the finger at who's to blame, and it could get ugly because something like that is so tragic, and of course you have family members on both sides that are victims as well.
Right.
And definitely a touchy subject, but we had to address it because it was an important subject that has recently happened in the paranormal community, and it's great to have Larry on too, and John to share their thoughts. And I'm excited about True Ghost Stories TV because now that I know they're kind of doing these guest hosts, I'm thinking that when are me and Adam going to get that phone call? My agent hasn't reached out to me yet, and but,
I know, really.
Yeah, so that would be a lot of fun to do. But I look forward to the next episode. That's going to be airing on Thursday. Is that right, Sherry?
Yes, sir.
It is going to be airing on Thursday again, 7 p.m. Is that Central Standard Time, 7 p.m.?
What's that, Larry?
Central Standard Time.
Yeah, Central Standard Time.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so I look forward to that next episode. And next week, I believe that we have another special guest on that's going to share some interesting ghost stories with us, but we're going to keep that as a surprise and tantalize all the earbuds out there.
I do want to mention one thing before we move to the wrap and stuff. Two things, actually.
Yeah.
Number one, all you listeners out there, the interest in the program and the calls coming in from investigators who happen to be listening or saw something posted, give us that chance to make that phone call like Leanne did tonight. If we can find a way to get you involved in the program, we're going to do it. So don't be bashful.
Yeah.
And please come on and share your stories or pitch in on the topic if you feel very strongly about something. And second, before I do the wind up, I just want to take a moment, if we could, maybe a moment of silence for those that passed this week that were part of our universe. And of course, I'm talking about Debbie and Mark. Thank you. Do you ever feel like you're not alone? Do you ever feel like someone or something is near you? Have you felt touched or that something has brushed up against you? Do you hear voices? Do you have vivid dreams of dead loved ones? Do you see shadow people? What are they? Who are they? An angel or a demon? Or just someone reaching out? We believe someone or something is reaching out. We want to tell the world the truth. Our experiences are not a figment of our imagination. There are things that walk in the earth that are unknown to us. We want to find out what they are. We want to share with all of you. And so do they. We want to tell our stories and their stories. We are True Ghost Stories. Tune in next time. We have incredible guests every week in store for you. And I beg you to please listen to this horrifically talented duo of myself, Adam Ginsberg, and the illustrious Tom Ryan. Thanks so much for being with us this week, guys. Have a great week and a great night. Happy ghost hunting.
The way is very clear. Didn't take the easy path down this road of life. Done his share of losing faith, but nothing else looked right. Time catches up with you, if only in your dreams. Wake up with a coin in hand and hear the ravens scream. Hear the shadows of the night. You can run, you can hide. Hear the shadows of the night. You can lose your life. Somewhere in another place, so many miles apart, he runs away from what's to come and cries out with his heart, following that highway, not sure of where to go. Looking up ahead of him, and he sees the joining road. He doesn't see the stop sign there. No time to turn away. The ravens perch up on that wreck, yelling, I want you up this day. In the shadows of the night, you can run, you can hide. In the shadows of the night, there's no time, no time you can buy. No. Ooh, yeah. Well, kicking and screaming, scratching and beating just to stay alive. Dealing and stealing, cheating and dealing, no foolish to lie. Begging and pleading, barely just breathing, the end of the road is near. The end of the road is near. Tell me, what do you fear?
That was Ronnie Barr doing Shadows of the Night. You're listening to W Rock Radio on WLOR.net, True Ghost Stories. See you next Monday.